What's going on, boys and girls? This is BBD with BBD TV, the biggest Tennessee Volunteers fan on YouTube. And you're watching the two Irish brothers. Shout out to the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Go Vols!
How's it going, everyone? I am ND Sean 45.
I'm Irish Benjamin 57.
And together, the two of us make up this little show called The Two Irish Brothers Show. If you guys haven't done it already, hit that subscribe tab and make sure to like or dislike this video. Apparently, like I said in the last video we did, that, I guess, helps the algorithm to get us found a lot more. So we sure would appreciate it. Also, as you guys see on the bottom of the screen, go to Irv Smith's Twitter page. Check out the golf and travel package that he has set up for Notre Dame and Navy in Ireland next year. Now, Ben, first things first, before we get to the topic of this video, we got to give a special shout out to the Notre Dame men's baseball team. They pulled off a massive upset, taking 2 of 3 from the Tennessee Volunteers in the Super Regionals, and they are headed back to Omaha for the first time since 2002.
Yes, absolutely incredible. Absolutely awesome that it was number 1 Tennessee. Can't ask for much more than that. So, I'm ecstatic. This is I believe it's the second time they've ever made it to Omaha, and this is the third time they've gotten through they got into the Super Regionals. So, just absolutely incredible by this Notre Dame baseball squad.
Actually, I think this might be the 4th time that they're going to Omaha, but okay. I could be wrong. But also, BBD, if you're watching this video, man, hey, I tip my hat to the Tennessee Volunteers. What they did, I know you're disappointed. I know that you said it in your video earlier that it means nothing, but no, the Tennessee baseball team, they made just an absolute historic run in this season. So they're deserving of all the respect in the world, what they did. And, that's still nothing to scoff at. That's all I can really say. It's kind of hard to hear the winning side talk about it, but hey, nothing but respect to the world to the Tennessee Volunteers baseball team. They were a fantastic group this year. Very talented.
Totally.
So, yes, exactly. And so with that said, I really wanted to talk about this, Ben, with you here because I know you didn't mind me making the video on Thursday when CJ Carr committed, but I wanted to talk to you about this and make sure that you were here for this because, well, hey, there's 2 of us on the show. 2 of us should talk about it. So what was it like for you, Ben? I got to ask this first. When you heard the news that CJ Carr committed, what was your reaction?
Loved it. Absolutely loved it. And let's break it down for a second. Okay. So obviously Michigan was in on this guy, was in on CJ Carr. They were trying their darndest to get this kid to come to the University of Michigan. And it's the number 1 reason because Grandpa coached at the University of Michigan in Lloyd Carr. So there's that. And the fact that it was Notre Dame that basically snagged him out from underneath Michigan is just phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. And what's even more phenomenal is the fact that their PR department basically was like, oh, well, he doesn't fit our system, so it's not that big of a loss. I bet it doesn't fit your system. I bet so. And the best part of all of it was seeing Lloyd Carr in a Notre Dame hat with grandson CJ Carr. That just makes me tickled pink, purple, and blue. So
that was priceless. That was absolutely priceless. But you know what? I got to hand it to Lloyd Carr. Even though he tormented us with his teams for quite a while, that is a class act on his part to show unconditional love and support to his grandson like that. And what more can you say about that kind of character? It's great. it's great to show that he's supporting his grandson and being at his side 100% without condition. That's wonderful on his part. So yeah. So anyway, Ben, with that said, this is something that I was really curious about. I mean, this has been going through my mind since Thursday, and CJ Carr committed. Now another 5-star quarterback out of Michigan has been on Notre Dame's radar, and that is Dante Moore. So here's the thing: Dante Moore, if he committed to us, would be for the class of 2023. CJ Carr would be for the class of 2024. But I've also heard that CJ Carr could reclassify to 2023. So I'm guessing that would probably be what, like early graduation and early enrollment.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yeah,
so,
which I don't know. I mean, obviously we don't live there. I don't know how that rolls in the state of Michigan with, I would say, the NHS or the MHSA, the Michigan High School Sports and Association. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's a good point. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens with all that. But it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. I mean, Dante Moore is still on Notre Dame's radar, and Notre Dame is still on Dante Moore's radar.
Now here's the thing. I've read a couple stories that said Notre Dame blew it with Dante Moore, and Dante Moore's no more. That sounded weird, I know. But Dante Moore himself has just said, "Hey, everything with Notre Dame is cool. They're not out of the picture." I mean, he's still taking his visits, which that's common for any recruit to do. Even if he says you're number one on his list, he's still going to take his visits. That's just what's natural to do. Now, let's say, one could assume, but you know what they say about assuming, you don't want to just assume that Dante Moore is gone, kaput, no more. He could still easily commit to us. Now, of course, if CJ Carr is reclassifies to 2023 the same as him, that could present some problems. But at the same time, first off, I don't think it's a problem to have too many 5-star quarterbacks on your team.
No,
Nick Saban at Alabama's doing it.
I'll tell you all about it.
Ryan Day at Ohio State's doing it. All across the major programs, they're doing it. I mean, now you could redshirt one of those guys, but of course, redshirting, as we know, is not the same as it has been. You can play in, I believe, 4 or 5 games on your redshirt season. So both these guys, if that were the case, they would both be able to see action in that season. So I would like to think that it wouldn't be a problem for Dante Moore to still commit and still be able to play for us, because let's say that CJ Carr stays in the class of 2024. Well, that's 1 year where Dante gets a chance to play. And then CJ doesn't get there till the next year. So I'd like to think there'd be enough balance to get time for both of these guys in that scenario if they're both there at Notre Dame.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the biggest thing I take away from all of this is, what is Freeman and staff saying to these kids that's getting kids like CJ Carr and Dante Moore legit interested when we haven't even played a game yet? I mean, we have had this much of a glimpse of Freeman, and that was with the Oklahoma State game this past postseason. So, I mean, clearly Freeman is selling these kids on the fact that things are going to change at Notre Dame and they're a legit title contender.
Well, here's the thing. I was in the comment section for John over at the Always Irish show. I was on his live stream the night that CJ Carr committed. And the one comment I made, and I'm going to say it here too, the Fiesta Bowl against Oklahoma State was a transitional game for Marcus Freeman.
Exactly.
Because it was, you're still using Brian Kelly's offense. You're still using his game plan. Marcus Freeman, he knew that in a month's time, he didn't have enough time to implement what he wanted to do. Because, I mean, let's face it, implementing a game plan is going to take more than just a month. It's going to take a significant amount of time.
Right.
To get guys used to it. So that's what I think that was. So that's what I think he's telling these guys is, hey, this is what we're going to do. This is the new plan going forward. Yeah. We're using my plan, not Brian Kelly's.
Yep.
And so whatever his game plan is, these young men are loving it.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, to me, it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible because it's one thing when you have something to go off of. It's one thing like, you know, let's say that Marcus Freeman, you know, takes over this season and we beat Ohio State in Columbus, and then we go on to the playoffs, and maybe we don't make the national title, or maybe we do, but we lose. Okay, that's incredible for a first-year head coach coming into a new program. Okay,
Agreed.
That's something to go off of. We don't have anything yet. We have nothing. I mean, like you said, the Fiesta Bowl was a transition game. That wasn't even Freeman's system. That wasn't the choices that he would have made. This is just him being thrown into the fire. So to say that we have these 5-star recruits is incredible. It's absolutely incredible to me. And I think that, as you said, it's never a bad thing to have multiple 5-star quarterbacks. It's never, because let's face it. Football is a violent game. One hit, one play takes you out. I mean, so what? We have CJ Carr, or let's say, you know, Dante Moore comes in, CJ Carr waits a year, doesn't get that reclassification. Or they both come in. So like let's go crazy scenario. They both come in 2023. They both are on the roster. One of them gets the nod because obviously one of them has to get the nod, or maybe neither of them do, because what year is Buckner?
Buckner, I think he is coming into his.
So
I want to say sophomore, but I'm not entirely sure.
So Buckner, let's just say like Buckner would be a junior. So then Buckner would most likely be the starting quarterback. Yeah. Okay, so then neither one of those guys have that opportunity anyway. But let's say Buckner gets hurt because it's football. And let's say that CJ's ahead of Dante or Dante's ahead of CJ, then one of them gets hurt. I mean,
you want to have your guys ready to go.
It happens, you know. So, I mean, I don't know. I think they both could play for Notre Dame. I think, I mean, I don't know. It's crazy. It's crazy to think about.
And this is probably the worst example to give, but it is an example nonetheless. I mean, I remember the 2007 season. You start off the year with Demetrius Jones as your quarterback. Then he kind of fizzles out. You then bring in Evan Sharpley to play, and he kind of, fizzles out to backup status as well. And actually, Demetrius Jones actually ended up transferring out, I believe. And then after Sharpley didn't work out, you put in Jimmy Clausen, who was your hot incoming freshman, and you basically throw him to the Wolves to lead the way. So that, again, it was a bad season. We were 3-9 that year, but still, this has happened before, where you're playing 3 different quarterbacks in one season, which is the point that I was getting at.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, it's not a bad problem to have. And, obviously in a situation like that, there's always the chance that you could have one transfer out because he's not getting his time. And, it's like that Dr. Pepper commercial. My time is now, that kind of thing. And I don't, you can't blame these guys for wanting to play right away if they have a sense that, hey, yeah, I have some more to learn yet, but I'm ready to play now.
Right.
You can respect that. There's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But even for these top-notch guys, it's a new process. It's a new level of football. Yeah. And I would like to think that, if other top-notch programs like Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia, whoever, well, maybe Georgia's not the best example as far as quarterbacks go, but still, Stetson Bennett had one hell of a season. They don't mind waiting at those programs. Top-notch quarterbacks don't mind waiting at big time programs, and we've seen that happen. And they still have the same amount of success. They still get drafted into the NFL. So it'd be nice if Marcus Freeman could bring that here to Notre Dame. And another factor too, Marcus Freeman is a player's coach.
Yes.
Brian, I'm not saying that Brian Kelly didn't treat his players well or anything, but he really wasn't a player's coach. He was more of a disciplinarian, get things done kind of guy. I've said it before in the past. He's not a very personable person.
Yeah.
He's not.
I mean, I think Freeman will be very strict. I think he will be that coach. But yes, I agree. I think that Freeman can connect with these kids way different than a lot of these other coaches. I think he's in a very, very unique position because Freeman played for Ohio State. I mean, and he played for Ohio State when they were a title contender. So he knows. I mean, he gets it. He gets being in the spotlight. He gets being in those games. He gets the preparation. He gets all that. I mean, it's hard when you have someone like Brian Kelly and heck, even Nick Saban, because Nick Saban didn't play for a big name school. Okay. Yeah. I mean, Nick Saban played for Kent State, for crying out loud. I mean, and back before Kent State was even a Division I school, so it's a different scenario. It's a different situation. And Freeman, like I said, can have that unique connection to these kids, and I think that's phenomenal. And I think that's probably one of the biggest selling points with recruits, that he gets it. So, yeah, I think it's phenomenal. I think it's awesome. And I think that sky's the limit here. Sky is totally the limit.
Yeah, I agree. And, there's nothing that says that this will affect Dante Moore's recruiting. He could still come here to play for us. It's just going to be under a different scenario. He's not being told that he's the guy. There is going to be competition. There's other quarterbacks that are just as good as he is. I mean, is he better than Tyler Buckner? I don't know. I mean, Buckner has some experience under his belt now.
Yeah.
But would it surprise me if Dante Moore decides to go to some place like Michigan or Texas A&M or somewhere? No, it wouldn't. But at the same time, if he still commits to us and doesn't mind playing alongside of the likes of CJ Carr and Tyler Buckner, that won't surprise me either. Yeah. But go ahead with what you were going to say, Ben.
No, and you hit it. You hit it right on the head, Sean. It's, could he go somewhere else? Of course he could. He could very well go somewhere else. And it also depends on playing time. I mean, if he gets A&M saying, hey, man, like this quarterback transferred out or this quarterback's going to the draft or whatever, and then it goes from, okay, you have a chance to be a legit starter day one. This is your squad. You have the locker room. Why wouldn't you take that? I mean, like, look at, like, the greatest example I can give is Bo Jackson. I mean, now, that's huge shoes to fill. I'm not saying, like, one of these kids is going to be the next Bo Jackson. But his situation, okay, Alabama recruited him. Auburn recruited him. Alabama said, look, you're not starting. Auburn said, we have a chance. We're going to give you the chance to start. He picked Auburn because they gave him the chance to start. Who was the better program at the time? Alabama.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's also a factor. So, yeah, I mean, if he gets this offer from Michigan or A&M, I think LSU's another school that's looking at him. If they go, hey, look, you're our guy and we want to give you the reins immediately, then, I mean, it's no hard feelings in my opinion.
No, you can't blame him for taking it. I mean, that's his chance to show what he's got right away, and you can't blame a kid for wanting to do that. So, I mean, I would understand that scenario completely.
So, yeah, I'm excited. That's all I can say. I mean, the fact that we have multiple 5 stars, like I said multiple times now in this video, the fact that we have multiple 5 stars looking at us, like, that are interested, we come knocking and they go, yeah, we're interested, because you can come knocking, but the kids are going to like, nah, bye-bye, is awesome, is absolutely awesome. And the other thing that's awesome is these kids recruit other kids. That's the thing that people forget, These kids, you see, you're the number 1 running back and you see the number 1 quarterback or the number 3 quarterback or whatever they are go to Notre Dame, and you start rethinking about the fact that when Notre Dame's recruiting you, going, maybe that's a better idea for me to go there because that guy's going there.
Oh, CJ Carr himself said that night that he's
You
going
know.
to start talking to other kids in his class, especially offensive linemen and receivers. And yeah, you're exactly right. So who knows what kind of wonders this could do for us in the future. But still, though, the bottom line is on this particular topic, I don't see any reason why these two quarterbacks couldn't play together in the same class. And
No, not. I mean, yeah, I totally agree.
So, well, that's all I have. Ben, anything else out of you?
I got nothing.
All right. Well, everyone, as usual, thank you for watching. Ben and I, we are going to try to do more stuff here in the near future. Maybe possibly get a live stream going on some weekend when we get a chance. And who knows? We might have a few surprises up our sleeves. You never know. So, on that note, everyone, I am ND Sean 45.
I'm Irish Benjamin 57.
And as always, God bless, good night, and go Irish.
Go Irish.